Now, the reason why I'm sitting here right now and talking to you guys, I did promise I'd make a video about something about fans in general and what their things are like, what they're like as wrestling fans. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that video because I've cut back on that. I'm not gonna bother doing that. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys about something that has really been wanting to tell you guys my entire time. My life as a WWE fan. Now, there are people out there that don't know what I'm like as a wrestling fan, and I can definitely see it. I can definitely see it that sometimes when I make my videos, sometimes people are kind of confused on my behavior when it comes to wrestling. So I'm here to talk to you guys about my life as a wrestling fan. So here we go. Let's talk about my life as a wrestling fan. Now, I did not start watching wrestling in the Attitude Era. The era that a lot of people are familiar with, where most wrestling fans grew up in. And the reason why I am making this video is because I don't think a lot of people would have the guts to come on and explain their life as fans. Like, why have they, what have they gone through watching wrestling? So hopefully this video helps you guys understand my mentality when it comes to professional wrestling. So yeah, I didn't grow up in the Attitude Era. I was born in 1995. During that era, but I didn't lay my eyes on TV about that until I was a lot older. They didn't want me to watch that program until I was old enough to watch it. Because I was born in 95, I was way too young for it. So, my first WWE thing I watched was Royal Rumble 2004. 2004. I was 9 years old when I laid my eyes on WWE for the first time. 9 years old, watched the 2004 Royal Rumble, where Randy Orton, this is where I met Randy Orton, my long-time idol. And I consider Randy Orton someone I look up to. So, in case of people why I'm very protective towards him, like last year with the Royal Rumble and the WrestleMania, everyone was wondering why I've been so protective towards Randy Orton most of last year when he very Rusev. So now you know why. And he started out the Royal Rumble with whose name shall not be named. And that person whose name shall not be named ended up winning that Royal Rumble that year. And Randy Orton came out at number 2, and he lasted about, I think 20-30 minutes, because he came out at number 2. He didn't get eliminated until the late 20s. So I think that's about 20-25 minutes. We didn't have and so that was the first time I watched wrestling, and that was when I first saw Randy Orton. We didn't have Foxtel until 2006, 2 years later, when I was 11. And so me, my brother, my sister, we were all happy we got a Foxtel. We were able to sit down and watch wrestling, because all three of us were big fans at the time. My sister's not really into WWE anymore. Me and my brother still are. Me and my brother are still big die-hard fans. And the first thing we see on our television when we watch Monday Night Raw is John Cena with the WWE Championship. And I believe this was still when he was in that middle, and I believe that was in the middle of the feud that he had with Edge in 2006. Because it was 2006 where we started rewatching WWE. So, and also, I couldn't really watch a lot of wrestling back in those days because I was in schools, like I was doing schools, I was schooling, so I couldn't really watch a lot of wrestling, and I'm still that way now. I can't really watch Raw and SmackDown now because I got university. And the only reason why I'm still reviewing these shows is because I come home and I watch the shows. So from there, as the years went on, I continued to watch wrestling. It was something that I was really I really loved, and yeah, I just really loved wrestling. You know, even though during those years that some people might say, well, I didn't really like, I didn't look at, you know, WWE in the wrestling side when I was younger. And I'll tell you guys a quick story about myself when I was younger, you know, watching wrestling. I was a very, very stubborn child. I was a very stubborn child when it came to watching wrestling. I used to believe this entire thing was real. I used to believe everything was real in WWE. I used to believe the blood was real. I used to think all the promos they say are real, and what they say about the wrestlers are real. I used to think, you know, when a heel, when the bad guys win, they cheat to win to beat the good guys, I used to take that really seriously because I used to believe what I saw on my screen. And the thing was, back in the day, I was one of those people that liked all the faces and hated all the heels, except for Randy Orton. Randy Orton was the only heel I liked because I really liked him, and I didn't want to turn my back on him. So I continued to like Randy Orton no matter if he was a heel or not. So he was the only heel I liked. And Randy Orton had that little rivalry with Vince McMahon. We all remember that in 2009 when he went on to win the Royal Rumble, punted Vince McMahon in the skull. You know, we all remember that moment and that feud. So Randy Orton was just one of those Randy Orton was just one of those heels that I really liked. So as I continued to watch wrestling, there wasn't the women, on the other hand, I really didn't care much for at the time because I did watch them, but I didn't really acknowledge them much at the time. Even though I did cheer for the ones that were faces and I hated the ones that were heels, but not at the point that I am now with the women's division, like, you know, the divas, like with Melina and Michelle McCool, Layla, Mickie James. You know, Ashley was around for a bit, Candice Michelle, who else? Beth Phoenix. Who else was there at that time? I think Jillian Hall, you know, that woman, you know, that cringy woman, Jillian Hall. Kelly, Eve Torres. Who others were there? Oksana. I can't really remember. There were like a lot of women around back then, but I really didn't acknowledge the women's division much back in those times. And 2011 was the year for me that I really liked, because for starters, Randy Orton became world champion against Christian. He had a great feud with Christian when Christian turned heel. And my first favorite for the women, or should I say divas, was Kelly Kelly. Kelly Kelly was the first female that I, quote-unquote, had a crush on, because she was beautiful. I really liked her. She was just one of those girls I had that massive crush on, because we all know that's what some wrestling fans are like. Some of these wrestlers just like to have a crush on certain wrestlers. And boy, oh boy, I know a friend of mine who has a crush on women, and he knows who he is. He's got a huge crush on Becky Lynch. You know who you are. The reason why I'm not mentioning names is because I don't want to mention my friends' names on my channel unless they are okay with it. So yeah. So Kelly Kelly was the first diva I had a big affection with. And the thing about that is that here was the one thing that I really didn't like as a fan. This is about Kelly's feud with Beth Phoenix. Now I know, so this was the one annoying thing that I really didn't like. The one annoying thing I didn't like when it came to professional wrestling is that the same wrestler keeps getting title shots. When Kelly was Divas Champion and she was feuding with Beth Phoenix, like, Kelly beat Beth Phoenix at SummerSlam. Kelly then beat Beth Phoenix again in Buffalo, New York, in Beth's hometown at Night of Champions. And then at Hell in a Cell, Beth wins the championship because Natalya smacks a microphone across Kelly's face, and the referee and didn't see the microphone clash with Kelly because Natalya smacked her with it. So, in my brain back then, I was thinking, okay, so that shows me Beth Phoenix can't beat Kelly clean. So that was my issue with that back in the day. And Randy Orton was feuding with like Mark Henry after Christian after SummerSlam, and that whole Mark Henry stuff, with Randy Orton. So you know all about that. So I'm pretty sure you know a lot what wrestling was like back in those times. So when Kelly lost the Divas Championship, she got downgraded and she became just nothing more than just another talent on the roster. So at least they actually gave her a push to the Divas Championship that time. Then 2012 rolled around, and 2012 was probably one of the weirdest years and probably one of the most annoying years because they had John Laurinaitis as the GM of both shows, and he had that rivalry with CM Punk, where CM Punk had this hatred for John Laurinaitis, and John Laurinaitis hated him. That CM Punk stuff was really great. As we all know, CM Punk coming back to the WWE. You guys, I think you guys know what I mean by that. So John Laurinaitis, we had that little thing with John Laurinaitis. And so 2012 was a pretty crappy year. Well, not a crappy year. It was one of those weird, annoying years. AJ Lee, we all know about AJ Lee. She was involved in these storylines. AJ Lee was one of those girls I started to grow on a bit as I saw more of her. And as you know, that I've mentioned plenty of times in past videos that I've mentioned about AJ a lot in my past videos. So you know I'm a big fan of hers, obviously. So she had these storylines with Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and she even had a storyline with John Cena when she turned heel and joined with Dolph. And also 2012 was the year when WWE decided to push now former WWE diva Caitlyn. And I also want to congrats to Caitlyn in her in-ring return after 4 years of being away from the ring. But we're not here to talk about that. To everybody's surprise, Caitlyn was actually the first person that I hated as a face. She was the first face I didn't like. And why is that, Patrick? Why is that? Well, through my twisted mind, because when I was younger, I had a pretty twisted mind, and I was pretty stupid. I was pretty stupid when it came to wrestling, so I didn't really understand. But I didn't like how she was being booked as a babyface. And surprisingly, in a young age, in 2012, or I should say about a teenager, I was about a teenager then. Surprisingly, in my teenage years, I noticed that the way they were booking Caitlyn was bad booking. 2012 was when I first discovered this. 17-year-old me noticed Caitlyn's bad booking. She was being booked, even though she was a babyface, she was being booked like a heel. Because heels are the ones that bitch. Heels are the ones that moan. Heels are the ones that bitch and moan and complain. Heels are the ones that make excuses. But Caitlyn, She was a babyface, and all she was doing was making excuses why she couldn't win the Divas Championship. She was blaming Eve Torres. Now, I understand they were trying to make her be one of those babyfaces that need to chase, but how is that okay when, a matter of fact, a babyface shouldn't be complaining about something? They should be chasing the champion. Instead of running to the GM and bitch and whine like a 5-year-old, that's basically what Caitlyn was like. 17 years old Patrick Valentine realized a terrible booking mistake with Caitlyn as a babyface, because all she was a bitchy, whiny bitch. Then eventually in 2013, in January, she became the Divas Champion. So, after all this whinging, she finally became champion. Then, she was one of the worst champions of all time because she never defended her title. She only defended it once. Patrick, she defended it twice in NXT against AJ Lee and Natalya. That doesn't count. Because it's NXT. That doesn't count. NXT was a shit program when it was a shit program back in that day. Back in the day. Absolutely awful. NXT was awful in its early stages with Wade Barrett and AJ and Caitlyn when they were rookies. You know, NXT was a shit product. And look at NXT now. Everybody's praising this product. Where everybody hated the product and they wanted this product gone. Shows you how much times have changed. Now everybody praises NXT. Caitlyn was one of the worst Divas champions because she only defended the title once in her entire few months span as champion. So after all that bitching and whining they had her do, she was just a transitional champion. Until AJ Lee took the title from her at Payback in June. Yeah, June. February, March, April, May. 4 months as champion and only defended it once. That shows you what a great champion Caitlyn was. Didn't even defend her title at WrestleMania. See, they did all this hard work for her and she doesn't even defend the title at Mania. They couldn't find anybody for her. So then now my new favorite, AJ Lee, became Divas Champion. And now you know why I praise AJ Lee. Because she was a way better champion than Caitlyn. And they actually used AJ Lee properly when she was champion. So yeah, that's basically that. So, and now I'm guessing some of you will be thinking, well, Patrick, when did you come around? You said you were 17 years old and you realized there was a bad booking mistake with Caitlyn. So when did you come around? Some of you people will be thinking that. When did Patrick Valentine started realizing the whole truth about WWE? What made Patrick Valentine stop getting frustrated when his favorites would lose? Now, well, before I get on to that, probably one of the worst things I hated was the fact that AJ had to pretty much job to Nikki Bella at Survivor Series 2014. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I hated the fact that Paige just walked on in, became Divas Champion against AJ Lee. So yeah, like I said, I was a pretty stubborn person. Even as an adult, I was very stubborn. I was taking all this so seriously, even though as a 17-year-old. As a 17-year-old, I was taking this really, really serious. So yeah. So again, you people be saying, well, when did you come around? When did you realize that wrestling was just predetermined and was predetermined, and you realized the backstage booking and all this stuff where we are now? Well, I know I've come on here and I've said negative things about this man, JD. But honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, My brother is the reason why I know him by name. My brother introduced me to him in 2014. And my brother said to him, look, he's a guy that talks about wrestling. He shares his opinion. He might say some bad things, maybe about your favorites like AJ and Randy Orton. So don't get upset if he says negative things. He's one of those real wrestling fans. My brother was doing it to try and make me come around and realize about the different sides of wrestling. He had me watch JD so that I can come around eventually and, understand about the product a lot more. So I casually watched him. I didn't watch him all the time. I casually watched him. I casually watched his Raw reviews. And his off the scripts. And and I remember there was one off the script episode. I can't really remember because it was so long time ago. He ended up saying along the lines of that when he talked about AJ Lee, that he mentioned that he said that AJ Lee was on her way out of WWE very soon, and he's expecting her to retire sometime in 2015. When I heard him say that, that shocked me. That really shocked me, and I was thinking, there's no way this guy can be serious. So I just took it in, just as his opinion. And lo and behold, in 2015, night after WrestleMania, or should I say right after the Raw after Mania, she retired in 2015. Now, I wasn't too upset. I wasn't crying. I wasn't upset. Well, yeah, deep down inside myself, I was upset, but it didn't make me break out into tears and cry about it. So when it happened, that's when I was like, so this JD guy is actually real. He tells the truth. So that's when I started watching him a lot more through 2015. But the reason now, in case if people are wondering why now I don't acknowledge him the way I used to now, is because JD has now become as what I called Caitlyn, a big whiny bitch. I understand he gets frustrated with the product. I get frustrated with the product. King Schmidt gets upset with the product. But the thing that I don't like about his videos is that he makes his Raw reviews like 50 minutes, maybe even an hour, just ranting about one segment for about a good 20-30 minutes. Those are the things that JD has just become one of those guys that I just can't stand now. He's just become a big whiny bitch now. So that's why I don't really acknowledge him the way I used to. The JD that I watched was actually the better JD. He did whine and complain a lot, but he wasn't, what he is now. He's not what he is now. He's not really a big crybaby like he is now. So yeah, that's that. So JD kind of was JD was kind of the reason why I started to, step out of the shell, break out of my shell, and start learning more about the product and understanding backstage politics. But eventually, I just started learning it myself. Eventually, it just became a habit on my own to learn and start understanding about the product and why are they doing what they're doing. And here's another thing that I think you people need to understand. If WWE really respected AJ Lee so much, they would have acknowledged her, had shots of her on Raw 25. Yeah, they might have shown a small clip of Paige pinning her, but that, I don't really consider that as acknowledging. That's them acknowledging Paige that she just made history that night. Like, if AJ Lee was such a big part of if it was a big part of their division, why haven't they shown a lot of respect to her? They haven't shown respect to her. Even though AJ has said on podcasts that she's on good terms with WWE. She doesn't hate WWE. she said only her husband, CM Punk, hates WWE. Like, I think she's just, I think she's just saying that, but honestly though, I think she really does love WWE, no matter what they used to do to her. But I find that really odd that she still likes the WWE, but they don't seem to acknowledge her. They seem to be frustrated about the fact that she's married to CM Punk, and because she's married to CM Punk, let's just let's just screw around this girl. Let's make her job in 30 seconds at Survivor Series to Nikki Bella, and then have her lose again to Nikki Bella at TLC. Then we'll just have her in a feud with Nikki Bella teaming up with Paige, and then we'll just eventually she'll eventually retire. Like, she knew what was going to happen to her career if she stayed. So AJ Lee was a smart person to realize that her fate was coming up, but I really do acknowledge the fact that she was a great wrestler, but I just don't understand why WWE just can't show their respects to somebody. Like, she didn't walk out on the company. She didn't do a CM Punk and walk out. She announced her retirement on WWE.com. You know? Whatever. So yeah. It basically took AJ Lee retiring to really crack out of my shell to start really acknowledging what professional wrestling is like. And starting to understand the ways of wrestling. So, it took me until 2015. Technically, when I was close to my 20s. I was 19 when I was 19. I wasn't 20. So yeah. I was 19, and that's when I finally came around. And that's when I finally realized a lot of my stuff about professional wrestling the way it is now. So, now, there might be some other things that people might want to know as well, so I'm going to get on to some other stuff. I've heard King Schmidt, he questions why I like SmackDown. Now, I'll get onto this as well as a part of my story, because this actually does have meanings, part of the story. When the draft was around in the early times, now, this might be a lame excuse, but when the draft was around, in 2011 with John, when Randy Orton was there and all those other times when they brought in the draft, I was a big SmackDown fan. Now, not just because Randy Orton was on that program. That's obviously not the case, because that would be what a typical young fan would say. Oh, I like this show because so-and-so's on this show. So yeah, I was a really big diehard SmackDown fan, and I've always has been, and I always have been. Even now with the draft now, I've just been a fan of SmackDown. So hopefully this gets everyone's point across why I've been defending SmackDown more than Raw. It's because I'm more of a SmackDown guy. I'm just more of a SmackDown guy. That's just basically the way it is. Sure, some people might say, well, yeah, this may be your favorite show and all, Pat, but you really need to start showing your frustrations for your favorite show. Start acknowledging that the shows have been bad. Start acknowledging the bad booking on the program. Instead of being a suck-up, just because you like guys like Bobby Roode and Randy Orton and AJ Styles, just because those guys are on the program, doesn't mean you need to defend the show. I'm trying to, and I'm going to get onto another thing else about this as well. The reason why I can't do certain things like JD does and King Schmidt does is because I'm worried about the fan base. Now, this is where I wanted to get my my video before into this, but that's why I thought I'd just merge this into this video as well, so that way maybe people can understand things. As my life growing up as a wrestling fan, going onto the internet, and all that shit, I've been copped a lot of shit from fans. I have copped a lot of shit from fans, and I guess they are kind of the people that have kind of turned me around a little bit more as well. that wrestling fans have kind of turned me around a bit more with their bullshit is that the thing that I hate about wrestling fans nowadays is that back in the times that I loved wrestling, you know, when Kelly was around, AJ, and, you know, and all that, but like I've explained to you guys before, like, we fans were able to accept what we were given and, you know, maybe even, you know, accept certain wrestlers that are getting pushed and hate certain wrestlers because they're being pushed because they're heels, you know. Those were the days. Those were the great days where people would actually cheer the babyfaces and boo the heels. But nowadays, it's all over the place. Nowadays, it's all over the place. People like Kevin Owens are getting cheered even though they're heels. People like Samoa Joe are getting cheered because they're heels. People like AJ Styles were getting cheered because they're heels. I mean, like, why are these people getting cheered? So wrestling fans now have just become to, oh, we will like who we want to like. But yeah, I can still. But yes, that is a still big major part of professional wrestling. We can like who we want to like. But the problem that I want to bring up is back in my time growing up, that people would have a go at you depending on who you like. There are fans out there that has a go at people for who they like. Like for example, I could say, oh well, I kind of like Eva Marie. I'm actually going to be honest with you guys. Eva Marie in 2015 in NXT, when she was beginning that little slow push to improvement in NXT, that I said, you know what, Eva Marie's improving. And then some moron has a go at me and says, you like Eva Marie? You don't deserve to be a wrestling fan. Wrestling fans like you are the reasons why people want Eva Marie pushed. What? There was even one fan having a go at me because Kevin Owens won the Universal Championship. You know, when Kevin Owens technically cheated, even though it was a fatal 4-way, that he won the Universal Championship when Finn Balor vacated the belt. There were a whole bunch of idiots abusing me and attacking me because I don't like Kevin Owens. So you see the pattern here? Do you see why I have issues with fans? Because I've been verbally attacked by fans who don't seem to like other people's opinions. Like, I'm even amazed why people haven't asked, oh, why don't you like Samoa Joe? Because I've mentioned on my Raw reviews, yeah, I don't like Joe, especially on that Raw review when he versed Roman Reigns for the IC title. I said, yeah, I don't like Joe, but even I will admit that Joe should have been IC champion. He should have won the IC title. Like, if I don't like someone, I'll say I don't like someone. And if you want to know why, just ask. Just ask why I don't like that person. And don't turn it into an argument. Just say, okay, well, that's your opinion. That's just your opinion. I like this guy because of this reason. You know? But apparently these days, if you don't like a certain wrestler that fans like, they'll have a go at you. Oh, don't worry, there were more than just those two. I'm not going to go over all of them, but those two are just the major thing. And I think the Kevin Owens one was the catalyst to me being more, you know what, I don't give a shit what these people say. I will like who I want to like. Like, that's the thing with wrestling fans. Like people like who they want to like. And I'll bring up NXT. NXT is another good example. And I don't want anybody coming to the defense of what I'm going to say here. That maybe before I talk about NXT, I'll talk about Braun Strowman. When Braun Strowman first came up in 2016, everybody hated this guy. Everyone did. Don't tell me you liked him at first sight. I know there might be some people that did, but the thing that I hated is that people hated this guy at first sight. His wrestling style, everyone didn't like him. And then he becomes a solo act in 2017, in the 2016 draft. No, wait. He came in 2015. Sorry. 2016 is when he got that push, when he became a solo guy. So he came in 2015. And then he becomes a solo guy, and now all of a sudden, oh my god, now everybody's Braun Strowman fans. You didn't like him, but all of a sudden you started liking him. JD even added Braun Strowman on a t-shirt. And even he started to like it. Can you guys explain me why you went from hating Braun Strowman to liking Braun Strowman? NXT is another good example. How is some of the talents in NXT that you guys have praised to the moon? You people have praised these wrestlers to the freaking moon in NXT, and then when they come up to the main roster, you immediately give up hope on them. Nakamura, Bobby Roode are the best two examples. There are some people that still like certain NXT talents because of how they're being treated. But I think the main one I want to talk about here is Bayley. Bayley is the biggest person I want to talk about here because everybody are just legit hypocrites. All the people that turn their backs on Bayley because of the main roster are absolute hypocrites. Everybody praised Bayley. Everybody praised Bayley in NXT. She's the next John Cena. She's going to be the next girl that's going to be so over with the crowd. She's going to be the face of the women's division. So, and now all of a sudden everybody hates Bayley. They don't like Bayley. You know, they turn their backs on Bayley, you know. Like, why? Why have you all of a sudden done that? What made you guys all of a sudden do a complete 180 on Bayley? I don't like Asuka, but then there are people that like Asuka. Why do people like Asuka? Like, what's so great about Asuka? Oh, her wrestling style? Her wrestling style is the reason why you like her? Okay, so I'm guessing you people like wrestlers who like to hit real hard, you know, I guess you just like those wrestlers who like to kick and punch people. But Asuka, like, when was the last time Asuka did a grapple and she picked somebody up and tried to slam somebody? I've never seen Asuka do that. If you've seen one Asuka match, you've seen them all. It's the same thing with her. Punch, 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 kick, 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 couple submissions, and maybe she'll start screaming a little bit, then punch, 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 kick, kick, kick. Then do that little bum attack that she does. Yeah, that's basically the only different thing she does, and that's about it. That's about it with Asuka. Why do you people all of a sudden like Asuka? It's because she became the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion in history, who has become by far one of the biggest forced down our throats wrestler on Monday Night Raw. But apparently because it's an NXT talent, they're not forced down our throats. Roman Reigns is forced down our throats, even though he's been in the company longer than Asuka. But Asuka, oh no, she ain't forced. People like Asuka. Yeah, why do you like Asuka? What is it about Asuka that makes you click with her? This is the question I've been asking all the time on my Raw reviews, and surprise, surprise, I don't get an answer. Because you wanna know why? Because I think even you people don't know why you like Asuka. That's about it. So that's basically the best thing I can do here. Is that why is people all of a sudden going from liking certain wrestlers like Bayley, you know, Jason Jordan, people have turned on Jason Jordan since he's no longer in the American Alpha. You know, what is it with you people turning your back on the NXT people that you have praised so much in NXT? Why do you people just start turning your backs on the NXT people that you praised? Creative booking? You're just going to blame the creative booking? Why you've all of a sudden turned your back on these wrestlers? I mean, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, why don't you people complain about Triple H and his booking? I mean, like, I see bad things with NXT. I see something wrong with NXT. NXT's overly predictable. That's the number one thing about NXT. It's overly predictable. People hate predictability on Raw and SmackDown, but when NXT brings out predictability, oh yay! Yeah, that's so predictable, but let's just applaud it anyway, because it's NXT. We love NXT. Really? So you go from complaining about Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live showing predictability, but then when it's NXT that shows predictability, you're just going to sit there and be okay with it? Monday Night Raw have managers interfere all the time, like Miz and Maurice. Andre Cien Almas and Selena Vega are kind of the same thing, but then I hear people say, the next thing, and I even heard King Schmidt mention about it on his review, and he said, I kind of like the fact that Selena Vega's interfering. That's kind of hypocritical. And yeah, he did say that in his video. He said, yeah, you might call me a hypocrite. I think people who hate the fact that it happens on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live and like it on NXT, yeah, I kind of would consider you a hypocrite. I kind of would consider you as a hypocrite, because why would you hate it on Raw and SmackDown, but like it in NXT? What's the difference? What's the difference? It's the same thing. Zelina Vega's interfering. Maurice is interfering. It's the same thing. What's the difference here? I don't see any difference in it at all. It's the same old thing. It's the same thing. How is it okay for you to hate it on Raw and to hate it on SmackDown, but you are okay with it on NXT? This is the thing that I hate about people who like NXT. Why is people liking NXT so much just shitting on Raw and SmackDown? I think this is the best reason why I'm trying to be more basic with Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, I'd be hypocrite. Yeah, I'm kind of critical about Raw and a little bit hypocritical sometimes about SmackDown, but this is the main reason why I kind of have a big issue with NXT. Why are fans praising NXT so much, but when I see the truth in NXT, it's predictable. The takeovers are predictable. Yeah, they're great matches. I've said it before. They put on great matches. But why is the predictability in NXT okay with you guys? Why is it okay with you guys, the predictability in NXT? Why is it okay with you guys, but it's not okay when Raw and SmackDown show predictability? Like, Roman Reigns is going to win the Elimination Chamber. You don't like that predictability, but when you have Andre Cien Almas with a manager, interfering, costing Johnny Gargano the NXT Championship, oh yeah, we're okay with that. We're okay with that. We're okay with that because it's NXT. Yeah, there are people that, there are a lot of people that like Johnny Gargano. But the thing I hate the fact is that you guys are okay. You guys are okay with what you're given. And of course, I'm going to bring up the line that I said on my SmackDown Live review. Fans need to accept what they're given. It's funny fact, that's what you guys do with NXT. You guys do that with NXT, but you don't accept with Raw and SmackDown. What the heck is up with you people? What is up with you fans? And King Schmidt kind of wants to know why I have an issue with fans. Why is it that you hate Raw and you hate SmackDown, but then you praise NXT? Do you know what I call that? I call that biased. I call that you being biased. You're just being hateful to Raw and hateful to SmackDown, but every NXT, you're okay with NXT. You enjoy NXT every single week. I consider that as being biased. I call that you are being biased. You're just hating Raw and you're hating SmackDown because you want to, but then when NXT's on, let's accept everything that NXT gives us. Why is that okay? Why is it okay? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it, and it hurts my brain. And another thing I want to talk about is fans asking what they want, but then when they get what they want, they complain about it. Dolph Ziggler. People want Dolph Ziggler to be pushed. Oh yeah, funny fact, he's getting pushed now, but everyone's complaining about it. Everybody's upset that Dolph Ziggler's getting pushed. People wanted Titus Worldwide, Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews to be a tag team. Oh, what do you know? They're a tag team. Dana Brooke is their manager. All of a sudden, everybody is hating on the fact that they're getting title opportunities. King Schmidt said, what have they done to deserve a title opportunity? Let me think. They've beaten the tag team champions 3 times. I believe beating the champions 3 times is enough to give you an opportunity. And then he goes on and says, the Revival are the only team right now that need the Raw Tag Team title opportunity. Didn't you say a month ago the Revival are getting buried? Huh? What? I'm questioning your train of thought here. You said you said on Raw 25, Revival are now buried, and now a month later you're saying the Revival deserve an opportunity at the tag team titles. How can you go from saying they're buried to now all of a sudden they deserve a title opportunity? So, and yes, on my Raw reviews I've said, yeah, people need to stop saying Revival are buried because they're not buried, they're winning matches. I'm guessing that's why now all of a sudden they deserve a title opportunity because they're winning matches. Funny, Titus Worldwide have done that 3 times with the Bar. They've beaten them 3 times and they don't deserve a title opportunity. But the Revival beat Gallows and Anderson twice, they deserve a title opportunity. That's a bit odd in my opinion. It's a bit odd. It's a bit odd how you're a bit different-sided there. So that's another thing I don't understand with wrestling fans. Like, they ask for something, and then when it's given to them, they don't like it. And they want new stars being pushed, and we get that, and people complain. Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Rice Squad. You know, people want these new people to be pushed, but they're complaining about it. They're calling the women's division forced. I don't get it. I really don't get it. So, I'm not going to let this video go on much longer. Otherwise, YouTube might not let me post the video up because of how long it's going. So, yeah, that is my story about my life as a wrestling fan. Kind of went on a rant at the end because I wanted to explain stuff that I've had an issue with now as a wrestling fan. So, that's what I was doing. I was explaining things what I've been having an issue with now as a wrestling fan. Hopefully, you people now can understand why I am what I am, and hopefully maybe you people can ask me questions, you know, like maybe like if I have an issue with something on Raw or if I don't like someone, just ask me why. Don't just view my video and not say anything. Just ask me questions. Don't sit there and question me. Just ask stuff to me and I'll answer you. Now I know I haven't really been in touch with what people say on my channel is because, well, I just want people just to comment and I'll read what their thoughts are, and if there's something that I might like, then maybe I'll respond back. But hopefully this video now understands why, and why now I'm hoping this video helps you guys understand me as a fan of professional wrestling. Like I said, in my Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews, maybe from now on, if there's something I say that bothers you, just ask me. Just ask me about it and I'll probably get back to you. So that is my life as a wrestling fan. Hopefully you guys have understood me as a person and understood me as a wrestling fan. And hopefully this helps you guys understand where I'm coming from on my personal side of things. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time with another video when I come to it. This has been Patrick Ballantyne, and hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Too sweet out to you guys. My longest video here on YouTube.